We spend all this time and energy thinking about digital security, right? We've got complex passwords, firewalls, the whole nine yards. We picture hackers as these far-off figures trying to bash down our digital doors. But what if the biggest threat isn't someone breaking the lock? What if it's something just quietly watching you type in the combination? Today, we're diving into the world of the invisible witness, a type of malware that turns the most familiar thing on your desk, your keyboard, into the perfect double agent. And that quote, man, it just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It perfectly captures the crazy paradox we're up against. We build these amazing digital fortresses to keep our data safe, but we totally forget about the ground they're built on. We forget that every single secret, every password, every private thought starts as a simple physical press of a key. A keylogger doesn't need to pick your lock or scale your walls. It's already inside, sitting right there with you, silently noting the one thing that opens every single door. It is the invisible witness to your entire life online.
Okay, so this gets us to the absolute core of the problem, a massive vulnerability I call the input blind spot. This is that critical space where all our fancy security software, all our encryption, it just becomes useless. And why is that? It's because the theft isn't happening out on the wild internet or up in the cloud. Nope, the theft is happening right here, on your machine, at the very instant your finger hits a key. It happens before your data ever gets encrypted, before it's sent, before it even makes it to your web browser. I mean, think about it. We've all been trained to look for that little padlock icon in our browser, right? That HTTPS that's supposed to mean everything is safe and secure. We see it and our brains just kind of relax. But here's the kicker. That lock only protects your data once it's in transit, after it's left your computer. A keylogger works in the blind spot before any of that happens. It grabs your password the moment you type it in plain, simple text. So that HTTPS lock, it's like locking the front door while the thief is already in the living room with a notepad, writing down everything you say. And this is where it gets really, really scary. We're not just talking about one stolen password for one little account, because this malware logs everything you type. It becomes a skeleton key for your entire digital life. A criminal doesn't just get your email password. They get your bank login, the answers to your security questions, the details you type into your doctor's patient portal, your private messages. For weeks, sometimes months, a person can be completely and systematically cleaned out, all without a single sign of a break-in, because the tool they trusted was the one betraying them. So, how in the world does this actually work? Let's pop the hood. In this next part, we're going to do a little forensic analysis of the attack. We're going to open up the criminal's playbook and look at this thing step by step. Because understanding the mechanics, the nuts and bolts of the theft, is the absolute first step to building a real defense. This isn't some kind of dark magic. It's just a system, and any system can be beat. Okay, the central piece of the puzzle is a technique called API hooking. Now, I know that sounds super technical, but the concept is actually pretty simple. Think of it like a wiretap on your own computer. Your operating system has this little internal messaging service that's always listening for stuff happening, like a key getting pressed. The keylogger malware hooks into that system. So when you press the letter P for your password, before that signal ever gets to your browser or your game, the malware intercepts a copy. It's grabbing the information at the absolute source, which makes any security in your apps totally useless. And this whole thing unfolds in a few stages, all designed to be as sneaky as possible. First up, Trojan delivery. The malware gets in by hiding inside something you actually want, a free video editor maybe, or a fake "you must install this" security update. You install it yourself. Second, the API hook we just talked about gets activated. It sinks its claws into the operating system and just starts listening. Third, and this part is really clever, is the stealth log. The malware doesn't just grab random letters, it records the context. It knows you were in the Bank of America login window when you typed that password. And finally, the exfiltration loop. Every so often, it bundles up all that stolen data and sends it back to the attacker, disguising it so it just looks like normal internet traffic. So, we've got the tech down, but the tech is only half the story. Now we've got to pivot to the psychology, the why. Why is this attack so brutally effective? Well, it's not just about clever code. It's about exploiting the way our brains are wired, these little cognitive biases that create a fundamental vulnerability in how we see the tools we use every single day. And this slide really lays out that gap between how we feel and what's actually happening. On one side, you've got our perception. We feel safe. It's our familiar keyboard. We see the lock icon. We trust our tools. But on the other side is the actual risk, which is fueled by a couple of psychological blind spots. First is something called hardware transparency. It's a fancy term that just means we don't really see our keyboard as a separate piece of technology. It's just an extension of our hands. We don't feel observed by it. Then you've got security fatigue. We're so bombarded with alerts and notifications that our brains just start to tune it all out, which lets the really malicious stuff hide in plain sight. And when you put it all together, the technical exploit with that psychological vulnerability, the result is, well, it's profound. The criminal isn't just getting a password. Over time, as that keylogger silently records everything, your Google searches, your private emails, your business plans, your conversations with family, they're not just stealing data, they're assembling a complete blueprint of your life. They see your habits, your relationships, your fears. The loss isn't just financial anymore. It's a total invasion of who you are. Okay, that was heavy. I get it. It sounds pretty grim, but, and this is a really big but, it is absolutely not hopeless. So let's shift gears. Let's move from analysis to empowerment. Now we're going to talk strategy, because there are crystal clear, actionable, and incredibly effective ways to break this input loop and completely neutralize this invisible threat.
The single most direct and powerful countermeasure is almost beautifully simple. Here it is. If you don't type it, they can't log it. See, a keylogger is built to do one thing, capture keystrokes. But using a trusted password manager to autofill your login info, you bypass the keyboard completely. The password manager essentially injects your credentials straight into the browser fields. The keylogger is still there, it's still listening, but there's nothing to hear. Your fingers never had to touch the keys. You've just turned your password manager into an offensive weapon. Now, beyond autofill, you've got a few other defensive layers you can add. For detection, keep an eye out for a system stutter. Ever been typing and your computer just kind of hiccups or freezes for a split second? That can be a red flag that some malicious process is hooking in to record what you're doing. For your most sensitive accounts, you can pivot. Use the built-in virtual keyboard on your computer. Clicking letters with a mouse breaks that hardware signal path the keylogger is watching. And finally, the exit strategy. Look, if you confirm you have a keylogger, you can't just run an antivirus scan and hope for the best. The only 100% safe solution is to nuke and pave, a full system wipe and a clean reinstallation. It's drastic, I know, but it's the only way to be sure it's really gone. But what's the one thing that stops this attack dead in its tracks? The ultimate hard stop? That would be hardware-based multi-factor authentication. We're talking about a physical security key, like a YubiKey, one of those little things you plug into a USB port and tap with your finger to prove it's you. Because even if a criminal has successfully logged your username and your super long, complicated password, it is completely and utterly useless to them without that physical key. And let's be absolutely crystal clear on this. The effectiveness of a hardware MFA key against this specific attack isn't 99% or 99.9%, it is 100%. A recorded password simply cannot finish the login without that physical second step. The attacker just hits a digital brick wall. It makes the entire keylogging operation, at least for taking over your accounts, completely obsolete. Game over.
And this all brings us to the final takeaway, a mantra you should basically burn into your brain for all your digital habits from here on out. You have to start treating every keystroke as if it's being broadcast on a loudspeaker. Adopt the mindset, if I type it, it's public. Now, this isn't about being paranoid, it's about being strategic. You use password managers and MFA to deliberately keep your most valuable secrets, your passwords, off the keyboard entirely. Your computer isn't a vault. This new philosophy ensures you're not just handing over the keys to it. So let's do a quick recap. The scam we're fighting is keylogging, turning your own hardware against you. The system it uses is API hooking, grabbing your keystrokes right on your machine way before encryption can help. The reason it works so well is the psychology of hardware transparency and security fatigue. We just trust our tools too much. And the core principle to protect yourself is to break that input cycle. Use MFA and password managers to keep your secrets where they belong, off the keys. That invisible witness might always be listening, so the absolute best defense is to give it nothing to hear.